This is a numbers game with Gill Alexander, broadcasting only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network.
He's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
Analytics, statistics, and more are used to win wagers, and Gill has every number you need to cash your tickets. Now, live from the VSiN studios in the South Point Hotel and Casino, it's Gill Alexander.
No, we love this time of week. Hour number 2 on a Thursday right here on a numbers game where sports betting analytics live, actionable sports betting information. It's Gill Alexander right here at Sirius XM Channel 204. VSiN, the Vegas Stats and Information Network. VSiN.com, the VSiN app. Fubo TV. Want to give Fubo TV some love. Warren Sharp standing by on the phone. Warren has got some great stuff over at Sharp Football, his Twitter, on the Giants, strength of schedule moving forward in the NFL, exclusive Warren's proprietary stats on that, how he defines strength of schedule. It's one thing where we talk about strength of schedule before the season starts, and then mainstream media sort of just abandons that conversation. But it's a dynamic thing, and we'll get Warren's thoughts on strength of schedule, the best and the worst of it moving forward for NFL teams, plus something that he calls, and this is at sharpfootballstats.com, sharpfootballanalysis.com as well, but he's got some great stuff, and he has something called the Opportunity Index, which is going to examine the NFL schedule over the last 3 weeks and compares it to this week, week 8, to see the units with the best opportunity to exceed expectations this week. So talking about passing game, running game, pass defense, run defense. So Warren's got some great stuff on the show. We will get to him momentarily, of course. Warren is the yin to this man's yang. He's in studio with us every Thursday, kind enough to do so. He's larger than life, but he's cuddly in person. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Krackomberger. Hello, sir.
Good morning.
How are you?
You got me in a better mood.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
I said I came in a little head full of steam. One of these Twitter trolls got me a little bit aggravated, but yeah. So
I calmed you. I talked you down.
You did. You know, these guys that have 0 tweets and 0 posts and
yeah, man,
never ever just create an account just to go after somebody.
Just messing with you.
It's amazing it never happens in person, though.
Isn't that interesting?
Isn't that something?
Because you know what? That guy would love to have dinner with you.
I'm no tough guy, but I play one on VSiN.
That's right. You do. You absolutely do. No, but it's really true. That guy who's messing around,
yeah.
If you walked up to him in real life and said, hey, you want to go to dinner? He'd be the first guy to be like, yes.
Absolutely.
Yes,
you know,
I'd love
I guess
to.
that's what it is mostly, and I'm probably addicted to Twitter. So I have to kind of maybe take a step back because I'm on there every day and I'm trying to answer everyone's questions against advice, by the way, of many people, including advisors, a good advisor.
You're very open with information.
I try to answer. I mean, I had 300 questions on there that were unanswered at one time. I started answering them all, you know, and I'm probably wrong to do it, but I just try to give back some. And I guess there is a little bit of a jealousy factor sometimes to anyone that's in the spotlight. Not that I'm in such a big spotlight, but
you're right.
You know, I think I'm a voice in the industry. So
yeah.
Yeah, so I guess people get mad and it's like misplaced rage at their own life, and they get mad at something, and they get mad that whatever it may be, and they say, hey, let's pick on the crack man.
I think you have cracked the code. No pun intended.
Yes.
Yes, you have.
Cool.
It is. Well, and we've talked about it before. That's the fascinating thing about sports betting, and it extends to conversations in the sports betting world, even in the Twitter sphere. It is a reflection of all different things of the human condition, right? We see this in other parts of our lives.
Yes.
Jealousies, insecurities, all that sort of stuff, and maybe it's magnified in our little world.
Yes, no, it definitely is. It's this world compared to normal life is unbelievable, though. I love having to wake up every day without an alarm clock, except for Thursdays.
Sorry.
Yeah, just to
My fault.
be able to not have a boss and do what I do and go around terrorizing bookmakers.
Go around terrorizing bookmakers. I want to ask you about something because we talk about New Jersey all the time. You're a New Jersey native, right?
Yes.
So I was hanging out with Jay Rude yesterday. Jay Rude, the vice president of race and sports at MGM Resorts International. Do a little show with him called Behind the Book, which we do weekly. And Jay and I, I've sort of asked him about this before the season. I was like, hey, do you ever think you'll get to a time now with legalization in other jurisdictions where we'll see, I don't know, if the Giants play Vegas, do you think we'll see a 7.5? Let's assume the Giants are good in this example,
Sure.
Bill. The Giants are giving 7.5 in New Jersey. but they're only given 6.5, let's say, if they were the favorites in Las Vegas, if the Raiders weren't any good, let's just say, hypothetically, not too hard of a stretch to think about that side. And he said, well, I don't know if it'll ever go through the number, but it might go off a key number, meaning maybe 7.5 and 7. I don't know about 7.5 and 6.5, but none of us know was the real answer to the question. We will find out all together when this happens based on money someplace, especially when there's a fan base in that jurisdiction versus another team's fan base when there's regional bias in two different places. This past Monday night, not exactly the same thing, but we saw for the first time an interesting example of it, and this is more of a testament to how bad the Giants are and how much their fan base can't stand their own team at this point. It turned out that in the Atlanta Giants game on Monday night, that here in Vegas, and in other jurisdictions missing, but here in Vegas, Atlanta was a 4-point favorite pre-flop in that game. They ended up closing it as 4-point favorite. But in New Jersey, where you would think it would be less because of regional bias, it was 4.5 on the Falcons. He was saying because everybody in New Jersey was betting against the Giants.
Unbelievable. You bring up a good point that hasn't been talked about much in media. How about these places that are partners with, like Monmouth Park is partners with William Hill. They're partners with other casinos. So does the line become dependent on the Las Vegas line? In other words, they get so much money in Las Vegas and in Nevada on a certain side. Is it fair that the line is moved in New Jersey, which is partners with Monmouth Park? They only get half of the Monmouth Park revenue. Is it fair to that Monmouth Park that you follow what I'm saying? Is it fair to them that, hey, we're moving the line here in Vegas, but really you're equally balanced in New Jersey, but hey, we need the money. We need the money here.
You're right. They're incentivized a different way.
That's an interesting thing. If you're an owner of Monmouth Park or whatever other jurisdiction, this may happen down the line. Now, I know there is two separate lines that they say, but I look at them both because so you can look at both of them on the screen, and it looks like the same line to me. So kind of interesting, right? Monmouth Park will never know if they're moving the line over here, and because to get more money in, they need it. They need it, so they're. Am I saying it too confused?
No, I understand. It's all, basically what you're saying is there's all different kinds of cans of worms that could be opened up with.
Yeah. And since we're on the subject,
please,
something that I received a phone call yesterday from someone I know, and some bad stuff going on back east this past weekend. I hate to hear this because I was thinking that these new sports books wouldn't have these kind of problems with the new people that are involved here from Vegas. John Avello, Frank from Caesars left. And I'm hearing DraftKings is giving some people hard times on their apps. $30 maximum bets.
Oh, man.
And even the guy tried to bet San Fran 49ers, and he got rejected for $800 and was only able to get $50. And then they moved it on air. And they're moving a lot of things on air. You know, they took these guys for the risk departments, but if you can't risk a couple $100, I don't know how you're risking their 6-figure salary. So I just don't understand what's going on there. And this is not only at DraftKings; it's actually at FanDuel also. And the app is actually denying bets, small bets, and moving on air. So they're seeing what you want. Bill Krackomberger goes in, puts a bet in. This wasn't me, by the way, but it spins.
Oh, the spin.
Oh, my God. Wait a minute. Bill Krackomberger's betting this way. Cancel. Do not count his bet.
We don't like the spin.
Do not count his bet, and let's move that.
Yeah.
So basically, I'm playing bookmaker for them. Well, you know, these places have enough problems with these already in the media, and I don't think that they need too much more. And now William Hill's now suing FanDuel, or DraftKings.
William Hill is suing FanDuel.
William Hill suing FanDuel for using their rules on their site.
Plagiarizing them, yes.
How can you not just... Fine, you want to use it? Fine, just put your own spin on it because it's basically the same thing anyway.
Change a few words,
Change a few words. They used their phone number by accident.
They used the words William Hill and the phone number.
Unbelievable. I mean,
allegedly.
Who's paid to oversee these giant, billion-dollar corporations that want to get into sports betting?
Right.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
And let's be real with how-to guides. Everybody's probably copying off each other.
Of course they are.
To a little degree.
Of course they are.
But at least be smart about it. Like, take a minute to actually change it up a little bit. The rumor is that it got found out because somebody actually called that number and said, hey, in your sports book, in your betting guidance, I don't know if that's true or not.
Sure.
But either way.
Not something, but I mean, it's very concerning to me that this is happening already, such early stages of sports betting back in New Jersey, that both DraftKings and FanDuel. But then again, They were the guys that wanted to do a lot of price gouging in the beginning, so I put nothing by them.
Well, the bigger point to that, I think, is, and, again, until this was legalized, we're like, well, when it does, we think this might happen. We're speculating that this might happen. And none of us, we all sort of admitted, we think, we don't know. None of us know how this is actually going to manifest. And so one of the things we speculated was, hey, with increased competition will come creativity and what's offered, and people are going to have to offer more stuff at better prices. You know what, Bill? I don't know, man. I think it might be going the other way. I think the fact that you have such a large swath of absolutely uneducated bettors, no matter how much we try to educate, right? That the companies that you just named are going to say to themselves, hey, we don't have to change anything.
Right.
Look at the numbers. Why should we get any better? Why should we make this any more user-friendly?
And the numbers are going to be giant.
Giant.
We've been talking about this for week in, week out. The numbers in Jersey are going to be giant, eventually overtaking probably Nevada down the line. It's inevitable. There's so much population there. There's so much money there. The gambling dollar that comes here is an allotted gambling dollar. They're gambling their paychecks there. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's hardcore. New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania. So anyway, that's just a subject that's bothering me today. Hopefully Frank and John over there hear this, or we can get to them and they know what's going on a little bit. Because without feedback, and another thing, it's amazing to me, and they do it here in Nevada, these European company. When you call a number and they say they're going to call you back, they never call you back. It's unbelievable. DraftKings, FanDuel, they're guilty of this. Mm-hmm. They've taken phone numbers down of this person who called me up and told me who I trust, and they have not called him back. They're just ignoring him because he's a little voice. He's a little piece of sand on the beach.
Right.
Well, I hope I'm a lounge chair on the beach.
It's why it's important for those of us who do have platforms to do the right thing.
You got to have some customers. I've seen it here. I've called this company here, and they never call me back. They're hoping that you go away. So it's just I'm glad I have that format here, and I'm glad I'm able to be on VSiN, and I'm glad I'm able to help people. Because that's what I'm here for, really, too.
Yeah.
I'm not really a good self-promote guy. I'm here. I like to inform the public on different things, and I think VSiN is the platform. Even when I'm not here, like I always say, where else are you going to get information like this?
That's right.
I mean, that's the number one question asked to me. Hey, Crack, can you help me out? Hey, Crack, can you help me? What do you think I should do going forward? Everyone wants to be a professional. It's unbelievable how many people say, man, I want to start doing this full time. You know what I always say to them? I wouldn't recommend it for my enemies. I mean, it's such...
You got to be built a certain way.
It's that tough. But take the first step and have VSiN. Here we are.
Here we are.
Here we are.
Here we are.
Download the app.
7 days a week. Download the app, VSiN app. Before we go to break, let's bring in Warren Sharp because I don't want to ignore you, Warren, altogether here in the first segment. The great Warren Sharp at Sharp Football on Twitter. By the way, follow Bill Krackomberger on Twitter at CrackmanWins. At Bill Crackman.
At Bill Crackman with a K.
With a K.
That's
and then
Twitter.
the website is crackwins.com.
Yep.
Let me repeat that.
That's me.
At Bill Crackman with the K on Twitter, crackwins.com. is the website.
Thank you.
Warren at Sharp Football on Twitter, sharpfootballstats.com, sharpfootballanalysis.com. Warren, regarding the Giants, I know when I was talking about the Atlanta and the Giants spreads being what they were in Vegas versus New Jersey and how it actually went the other way in New Jersey. I am curious about this tweet that you put out about the Giants. It's actually pretty straightforward, but I think it's interesting. This is from a day ago, and it started out, never forget. You were just talking about how the Giants were the most bet-on team at Las Vegas. And by the way, I might add New Jersey books from line open, post-draft, to right before training camp. Talk about this, sir.
Well, yeah, good morning, guys. That definitely was a fact after the draft when they got Saquon Barkley, number 2 overall. Their immediate, posturing after the draft was, we are built to win now. The Giants came out, Saquon Barkley came out. This team has told me they're built to win now because there was questions, right? There was a lot of questions after the draft, the day after the draft, the next day. What about a franchise quarterback? You're taking the running back number 2, and you guys need a quarterback. And all the internal comments coming from the Giants were, we think we're ready to win now. We think we've got a complete team. Saquon Barkley is a generational talent. He's going to add a lot of efficiency to our run game that we haven't had in the past. And we think Eli is capable. We've got a new head coach, new offensive system. Eli's going to be good. We've got Odell. We've got the receivers. We brought in new offensive linemen to help that side of the football. And then on the defense, we think we're a good defense. So, boom, we think we're ready to compete right now. and the money came in on the Giants. They were, if you look at their season wins, which I track up at sharpfootballstats.com, look at their season win total compared when it opened compared to where it was right before training camp. No team was more heavily wagered on. No line moved further than the Giants towards the over. And yet here we are entering week 8, and this team is effectively tanking. Before the bye week, they're trading away 2 of their best defensive starters. And Eli Manning is on the verge of being benched for Kyle Oleta as they see what they've got in him, and probably will go to draft a rookie quarterback in the next year's draft. So very difficult situation for Giants fans. I know Jorge is distressed about that, but hopefully it gets better for them. But I will tell you, this is what happens. This is what happens to people on Twitter. Why do you hate Saquon Barkley? I don't hate Saquon Barkley. I like the guy. He's got a lot of talent. He's exceptional. But this is what happens when you draft a running back high in the draft and you don't have a quarterback. This is what happens because this is a passing league. Quarterbacks matter. You have to try to find a quarterback. And drafting a running back when you need a quarterback high in the draft at number 2 overall is just a bad move. And you can try to argue with me if you want, but the facts are on my side. That passing matters much more than rushing. And obviously they drafted him, and look at what the team has done. They haven't won. So
facts are pesky like that, aren't they, Warren? It's amazing how people will go up against them. The other thing that I just want to throw in, you're almost being modest in this, or at least just averting this other point, is that all they had to do, right, when we talked about strength of schedule before the season, you were all about the fact, and I've been repeating this ad nauseum since then, all through these first 7 games, all these folks had to do is look at the Giants' schedule. And again, they're like, oh, you hate the Giants. No, it's not a knock on the Giants. The fact is, like, when you're betting the Giants on these season wins and in the futures market, remember the Giants went down to like 15-1 in the futures market. All you have to do is look at the first 7 games of their schedule and say, this is the most ridiculous first 7 games I have maybe ever seen. And I used to say, if they went 3-4, they should have thrown a parade. And then I amended it to 2-5. They end up 1-6. And now, as you point out, it's compounded by the tanking. But that's all they had to look at to begin with. And you had this pinned from the beginning.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I am bigger than most on strength of schedule. I think it matters intensely. I know that coaches internally and teams scheme everything based upon the defense that they're playing. So why some people sit there on the outside and say, oh, we don't care about defense that much. Let's just look at our own let's just look at these 2 teams and their offenses going back and forth. It doesn't make any sense. And why do we want to look at strength of schedule headed into the upcoming season using prior year's win-loss records? And why don't we come back to look at strength of schedule all during the season? I mean, there's just so much that you could do looking at schedule and breaking it down. And I try to do that up at my websites a lot. And I've had a lot of success playing on situations that are great strength of schedule spots. But you're absolutely right. In this particular instance, we knew that the Giants were going to be in a difficult situation entering the season, just like we knew that the Buffalo Bills were going to be in a very difficult situation. There are a number of teams that you could just look at their schedule and look at their opposition and the defenses that they're going to play and know that this is going to be difficult for those quarterbacks. And sure enough, Eli Manning doesn't come out very hot. The team is not winning, and a lot of it is simply due to the opposition that they've played this first half of the season.
It can be really boiled down to that, too, in addition to the Saquon stuff. We'll come back with Warren and Bill. Want to get into some stuff that Warren has here that is so good. As he points out, most of the mainstream media, they talk about strength of schedule before the season, and they just drop the subject. Well, Warren's got this dynamically through the season, and we will talk about the strength of schedule through week 7, and more importantly, where it goes moving forward now. Who's got the toughest strength of schedule? Who's got the easiest in terms of strength of schedule? And let's break it down by offense and defense, also by perhaps units, and then really something that I think is fascinating. There's so many ways to examine football. One is something Warren calls the opportunity index, and this has to do with looking at what's happened the last 3 weeks and comparing it to this week and see which units have the best opportunity to exceed expectations. Talking passing game, running game, pass defense, run defense. You won't get that anywhere else, but right here on the Football Free-For-All, Warren Sharp and Bill Krackomberger right here on A Numbers Game at VSiN. Coming back.
It's A Numbers Game, live from the tip of the strip in Las Vegas. Get your fill of numbers even after the show is over by following the crew on Twitter, @BeatingTheBook and @VSiN Live. back to A Numbers Game with your host, Gill Alexander, broadcasting live from our VSiN studios in Las Vegas.
Back on A Numbers Game here at VSiN, Vegas Stats and Information Network. Gill Alexander, Sirius XM Channel 204. Jorge is here, and so is Bill Krackomberger and Warren Sharp. Bill, here's a nice comment. The Better Life. Football free-for-all on Thursdays on A Numbers Game with Beating the Book. Bill Crackman and Sharp Football is my favorite sports hour of the week. Keep up the good work, fellas.
Wow.
Very nice.
Very nice. Very cool.
Let's earn that here. Let's talk about something that you won't really hear about anywhere else, and we just want to address it briefly. For those of us who have bet for a while, there's one offshore shop that had a sort of murder mystery going on.
Yes.
We're talking about Five Dimes and a gentleman that we all know as Tony.
Right.
Your thoughts about the whole matter? You've dealt with Tony in the past.
Actually, I've never played there. But I was a friend of mine, Proctor Hawkins, who's now deceased also. He's 75 years old. He played and he won on some props and stuff. He's pretty sharp. He was a pretty sharp guy, and he didn't pay him. He said, "I'm not paying anyone sharp. You're sharp. You're bearded in for someone else. It's not you." He was a tough guy, telephone tough guy. And
he was a telephone tough guy.
Definitely,
that's a great way to put it.
Many people. I mean, you're looking at Twitter, you're looking at the stories, and not only that. Look in the Costa Rican newspaper. Look at all the comments. There's 80 comments. I think 75 of them were bad. He wasn't a well-liked man.
Yeah,
not that he deserved to die, but
yeah,
he wasn't a well-liked man. And as a testament to Five Dimes, though, there was a huge run on the bank.
Yeah,
and they've paid everybody.
They've paid everybody,
from what I'm reading. Yeah, and I know a guy that got paid $10,000. So yes, it must be amazing. They've taken over for some of the smaller books when they went under or had problems, and they've taken all that business. So they're in the top 3 of post-up sportsbook business internationally, and for them to just pay everybody and say, "Hey, here's your money, come back next football season," then yeah, I think that's something good I could say. But
yeah, all right.
Yeah, so like I said, I'd say good and bad. The guy wasn't that nice of a guy to people and customers and stuff. And I've actually heard he stiffed a couple people. If he thought you were sharp, or thought you were betting someone else's games, or thought you bearded in, he didn't pay you.
Oh, he's stiffed more than a couple people.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
You just read the stuff that.
Yeah.
Again, someone kidnapped him.
Yeah.
Supposedly they kidnapped him. They paid a ransom of $750,000. His wife paid in Bitcoin, and they still clipped him. So,
yeah, and there's so many rumors around that, and just the rumor mill is there's some people like, oh, it's an inside job. The wife is under questioning. They're going
to question everybody.
Is he really dead? There's all kinds of things that happen. So it's a pretty intriguing story. But for many sports bettors. Not the greatest relationship, but certainly something that everybody is watching. By the way, Tony, just for journalistic's sake, 43-year-old William Sean Creighton, that's his real name.
That was his real name, from West Virginia.
He deserves at least that from us. So
yes,
we'll find out how that goes.
And if anyone didn't get paid now, if you still have your account numbers and stuff, I think you should try to get paid again. For whoever's left there that's handling it. Just open up a new case again. Well, why aren't you getting paid for the money you have there?
Yeah.
So
your perspective though is interesting on that. I wanted to get that, so I appreciate
no problem.
the honesty on that. Warren, let us talk about some of these things that you have up here. Specifically, let's talk about strength of schedule, because that is something that you and I talk about at great length in the off season, and you do so at Sharp Football Stats and SharpFootballAnalysis.com, and great follow at Sharp Football. But moving forward now, because all of this is dynamic, and you have the visualizations over at Sharp Football Stats, which is just one of so many great features, and we're flashing up a graphic here. So this is where you put up the pass D and the rush D efficiency of opponents here, weeks 8 through 17 now, the remainder of the regular season. Talk us through this, sir.
Yeah, so it's very simple to go ahead and look at the teams and what they are through the first 7 weeks of the season. And now we've got good data on these guys. We've got most every single team has played 7 games. The buys are starting to come and, thicker and heavier now moving forward. But most teams have 7 full games on the record, and we can get a good understanding of what these teams are. So now you can look at the teams, their strengths and weaknesses. You can align their efficiencies and then forecast who you're going to play the rest of the season and what those opponents rank in certain things. So like up at the top is the pass defensive efficiency of opponents. So these are for passing offenses. So this is for fantasy or just for sports betting or, anything, just general awareness. What it shows is, for example, that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who number one, they face the number one easiest schedule of opposing pass defenses the rest of the season. So Jameis Winston should be in as good of a position as any quarterback to exceed expectations the rest of the way through because of his schedule. It's simply because of his schedule he's in a good spot. You see a number of good passing offenses up there, like the Saints and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Then you see some passing offenses that are somewhat struggling, like the Dallas Cowboys. I don't necessarily throw the Carolina Panthers in there, but the Baltimore Ravens and the Arizona Cardinals, these are teams that could use a little bit of good luck and ease in schedule. They'll get it. On the other side of the spectrum, there are teams that are going to be facing a very difficult schedule of opposing pass defenses moving forward, and those include the Houston Texans and the New England Patriots and the Detroit Lions and the rookie Sam Darnold with the Jets. We talked about the Jets, how they would face a much easier schedule of pass defenses to start the year, and then they would transition into a more difficult schedule. Well, that's what they're about ready to do, as well as the rookie quarterback Josh Allen for the Buffalo Bills. Unfortunately for him, he's not playing right now because of injury, but when he does get the chance to play, it's going to be against very good pass defenses.
Very interesting that the Texans dead last on that. So Deshaun Watson and company will have the most difficult collection of pass defenses to play the rest of the season. Any thoughts, by the way, it's Thursday, so we want to throw that out there. This is such a, for me, pre-flop, unbettable game between the Texans and the Dolphins. Dolphins riddled with injuries. Deshaun coming off lung issues. He probably still has the lung issues. Jacksonville let him off the hook, one could say, last week. Barely got to him. But they're laying a lot of points tonight. 7 points. It was even 7.5 for most of the week. Any thoughts on this game? Total is very low at 44, I believe it is. Last I looked, 7 in this one.
Yeah, I do. I have some thoughts on some props here because I do think that this is going to be a game where the Miami Dolphins with Brock Osweiler coming back, the Houston Texans know Brock, right? He was a quarterback there for the entirety of 2016 and got paid a lot of money to be able to send to Cleveland. I don't think this team loves Brock. They still won. I mean, they actually went to the playoffs when Brock was there, but it was more so a case of them dragging him there as opposed to Brock doing a lot offensively to get there. So I think it's going to be difficult there without a couple of receivers for this Miami Dolphins offense to show out as well as they've looked the last several weeks. I mean, they've exceeded some expectations. They obviously upset the Chicago Bears, and so that's a good team. On the other side of the ball, though, I'm looking at this Miami Dolphins team that cannot rush the passer. The Miami Dolphins are bad at explosive pass plays. Those things go hand in hand and are a bad combination when you're going up against a passing offense that likes to go downfield with Deshaun Watson and specifically with Will Fuller and DeAndre Hopkins. So I think that there's going to be some opportunities for those receivers in this game from a passing perspective, a receptions, a receiving yards perspective, to exceed expectations against this Dolphins defense. And you also need to consider that Kiki Cutie, who's a wide receiver for the Houston Texans, didn't play the first couple of weeks. He's been playing lately and really kind of puts a threshold on what Will Fuller is capable of doing because those guys are splitting some reps sometimes when they're in two wide receiver groupings because obviously you've got DeAndre Hopkins is WR number 1, so he's always out there. Kiki Cutie is out, so Will Fuller is going to get a little bit more run in this game.
I broke your flow on the strength of schedule. When it comes to opposing rush defenses, Warren, what's interesting is your pass defensive strength of schedule moving forward, weeks 8 through 17. It's pretty much the spacing between teams, more or less the same, 1 through 32. In the opposing rush defenses category, you got two teams that are really outliers up there at the top.
Yeah, we do. The Arizona Cardinals and the Baltimore Ravens both are going to face brutal schedules of opposing run defenses the rest of the way through. And if you look at a team like the Arizona Cardinals, very easy. I fixed that up. Very easy. The Arizona Cardinals face the number 1 easiest schedule of run defenses, and the Baltimore Ravens the number 2. And if you look at what Arizona is going to face after this week. So this week they play the 49ers, who've actually been a little bit better than average, but then they have a bye. After that, they don't play a single run defense that ranks inside the top half of the league. Just an easy stretch. And they play, look at these bottom 5 run defenses. They'll play the Packers, they'll play the Falcons, they'll play the Lions, they'll play the Chiefs. I mean, all these teams really struggle to stop the run. So David Johnson, hasn't been good to start the year. He should be better. We'll see. They fired their offensive coordinator, so they should get a little bit better the rest of the way through. Baltimore Ravens certainly need that, right? Alex Collins, a lot of people drafted him in fantasy. He's been putting up some touchdowns, not really hitting his yardage thresholds. I think they're going to be a lot better as well on the ground moving forward, and Alex Collins hopefully will carry a little bit more workload as well.
This graph tells me so much, and two of the things just off the top. We're going to learn a lot about Josh Rosen. In other words, Josh Rosen is set up for success here, both against opposing pass defenses and the fact that opposing run defenses are not going to be too difficult for him at all, and so we'll just set him up nicely. And the other thing is, for those who are thinking about Ravens futures here, in-season futures, whether division, whether conference, you look at something like this, you might really want to consider it because the Ravens defense is going to be there. And now if it's set up nicely for Flacco and that offense, maybe not the worst thing in the world. All of this available at sharpfootballstats.com, among so many other things from Warren Sharp. And we'll talk about his opportunity index coming up momentarily, which has to do with Week 8 specifically and which units should be able to shine. Here on the screen, that was, let's flash those up once more, guys. Sorry, I was slow on the draw. This is via MGM. These are the current AFC division odds. You see the Steelers are at plus 150 to win the AFC North. The Ravens right behind them at plus 160. Bengals plus 250, Browns 50-1, just to round out the AFC North. Don't forget, coming back, by the way, with Krack and Sharp momentarily, among the other questions we're going to ask, which is the big favorite they believe is the most likely to lose outright this weekend, and which games, if they had to pick a side in each but could pass on one, which game would that be in their opinion? Don't forget, though, Point Spread Weekly available as well. VSiN wants to make you a better handicapper, not just this week, but for months and years to come. And now is the time to subscribe. We've got a special limited time offer now that we're almost halfway through the football season. Get Point Spread Weekly and access to everything we do for just $99 through the Super Bowl. In this week's 90-page edition, available starting yesterday, actually. It is available right now. All kinds of things, including some trends and systems for prime time games, Thursday, Sunday, Monday night, pro and college football games both to watch, power ratings, best bets from VSiN's experts, betting systems for the World Series in full throat right now after 2 games, Red Sox up 2-0, NHL, golf, CFL, MMA, NASCAR. We cover it all. Just go to vsin.com/subscribe for the package that makes sense for you, including our special offer, $99 through the Super Bowl. That includes Point Spread Weekly as well as full access to our live video and replays. vsin.com/subscribe. Bill Krackomberger, Warren Sharp, Football Free-for-All. More coming up on A Numbers Game at VSiN.
It's A Numbers Game, live from the tip of the strip in Las Vegas. Get your fill of numbers even after the show is over by following the crew on Twitter, at Beating the Book and at VSiN Live.
If you didn't catch VSiN last week.
Now, back to A Numbers Game with your host, Gill Alexander, broadcasting live from our VSiN studios in Las Vegas.
Back on A Numbers Game, where sports betting analytics live, actionable sports betting information. Week 8 in the NFL, the football free-for-all. Warren Sharp, Bill Krackomberger is here as well. Bill, I want to ask you a question. You went to Big Chicken, Shaq's new restaurant yesterday.
Oh, you knew about that.
I saw the tweet about it because I went the night before and Shaq was actually there. And,
Oh, yeah.
And I remarked on air yesterday, I was like, imagine Shaq. You're not only famous, wildly famous, but it's not like Shaq can put on a baseball cap and sunglasses and go unnoticed.
He's so huge. By the way, I seen him 2 days ago.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
What a figure he got!
Wow.
And what a nice, seemingly nice
Yes,
guy.
he was very nice to everybody.
The spirit is beautiful that he cast in the whole room. But so I say to you, and I'm not comparing you to Shaq. I'm not going to go that far, but the difference between, again, like someone like me and someone like you, I could get through. Nobody's going to notice me. Even if they know me, they're not going, I think that was him. Maybe not. Not you. You cut a pretty iconic figure.
Yeah.
You go with the Kangol.
Yep.
And you are pretty recognizable. And we got cameras in here, extra cameras in here from a major network. We're not going to say what.
Yeah, we're filming something.
So your star is only getting brighter. Do you internalize this, just from a human standpoint?
Never really thought of it.
You don't think about
I'm
it.
the same guy.
I know you are.
Yeah, I never really think of it like that. But you're right, though. I can't. put a mustache on and go to a blackjack table and
No.
try to count cards.
Not you.
Not me. Someone.
Is that correct? That's correct.
Yeah, it's got to be him. It's him. So I try to. Sometimes I'll turn the hat backwards to say maybe they won't notice me. But
No.
it doesn't happen.
That doesn't work either.
Can't be counting cards with mustaches and glasses on.
No. I was just wondering.
No,
if
you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you are right. And thank you for saying that and noticing that.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, it's like I stand out in a crowd.
You do that. You do that. Do you find that people and just I'm just curious, and I think
Yeah.
others are. Do you find that people find you approachable? Do they think you're a certain way when you're really not? Because I always say, and I use this word, I don't know how you feel about this,
Yeah.
but I always say, when people ask me about you, I'm like, he's like the cuddliest guy in the world. He's the nicest guy in the world, and I really mean this about gamblers. Gamblers have a lot of degenerate, terrible people in our world, but I like to say this about the good people are among the most honorable.
Right.
In life. And I consider you to be one of those people. And I wonder if people if they sense that about you, or if you feel like they don't approach you.
They always approach me.
Good.
I get a lot of street credit. I swear, it's like street guys. I get really a lot of credit among people. They come right up to me and yell across the sports book, and, ask me for games. And
I'm sure you love that.
I hate giving out one game to somebody. I hate it.
It's the worst, right?
Like someone just now was telling me the strength of this. I have a great game this week. People tell me games. So someone just told me, like, it's amazing. That's probably one of the most unbelievable questions in the sports book. People come to me. They ask me questions, and when they walk away, hey, Crack, I love Nevada this week. Like, what?
Good interaction. Good talk.
Wow. Like that. Now they want to tell me what they like.
Good talk.
But amazingly, I have found 2 people on Twitter, which I haven't revealed yet, and I probably don't know if I will, that have sent me lists of games. The reason why they actually caught my attention, they said the right words in the beginning. They have a model or a predictability, something, and I caught that, and I said, okay, well, you could send me. It's amazing. I haven't bet them. I cannot believe their record's better than mine. I'm winning in college football a few units for the year, 15 units, something like that. They're winning triple me. I have one guy that literally sends me plays up 40 units. It's pretty interesting too. Their stuff doesn't move because it's undercover. It's under it's not out there. So I have a couple new guys that may be in the Crackman camp pretty soon.
Crackman camp.
Especially college basketball starting. That's my favorite season, by the way. The crossover with college basketball, college football together. Ooh, it's so good. It's busy, but it's so much action and excitement. And, college basketball is probably my best season for sure. So I'm looking forward to that starting here in the next couple weeks.
You know how we just said, like, you hate when somebody asks you one college football pick? I wouldn't be doing my job if I said, hey, is there a college football pick you might want to share?
Nevada is the pick, actually. I don't know why I just said it, but it's true. In Nevada, there's the only 3 I see is left at Jerry's Nugget. So battle your way down there. But
That's right. Battle on down.
Yeah, so maybe even a money line on Nevada is a pretty good bet this week.
Okay.
I didn't even bet it yet, so I'm giving out something I didn't bet yet. But I will bet it, though.
Let's bring in Warren because we're strapped for time here. And Warren, I want to get to your opportunity index, yet another feature over at Sharp Football Stats. This is so great. So this now, Warren, has to do with Week 8 specifically. You've examined the schedule for the last 3 weeks, and you're comparing it to this week. And this is an interesting chart that we throw up at vsin.com, the vsin app, and Fubo TV. There's a lot of stuff going on this screen, but it's very easy to actually understand. So it's past strength of schedule with future strength of schedule for offenses, but it relates to this week. Explain this to us, sir.
Yeah, so it all plays into like recency bias, and recency bias is we trust what we saw the most recently. So you see something happen last week, oh my God, this is something important, and this plays on sports bettors a lot. You look at the past 2 games, the past 3 games, and people are going to think, okay, well, this is what this team is. What they've done the last week or 3 weeks, that's what they are. And trending is very important in the NFL. Look at trends and how, I don't mean like, on grass on Mondays, this team is this, but I mean like how a team is faring more recently than over the course of the whole season, the first couple of games of the year. But it's very important to take it into context with the opponents that they're playing. And I know Cracky and I were talking off air, and Crack, you obviously are aware and believe in the recency bias element that it really clouds a lot of public bettors in terms of what their impressions are, right?
Absolutely. The public is always they're so in tune to what happened just now or just recently, and it's amazing how many times the the public will bet off the last game. That's shocking. They don't even look at the factors or the fundamentals of what happened that particular game. They just know the score, and they just bet.
Result-oriented.
Yes.
Yes.
So, yes.
And no more so than in the NFL, right, Warren?
Yeah, go ahead, Warren.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's a big problem, but it's also something that we can take advantage of. You look at a team and so what I did here is, and you're right, it looks more complicated than it is. You can go to @SharpFootball and you can scroll back to yesterday and find the tweet and blow it up and then study it for like 10 minutes because you really kind of do need to digest it. But what it looks at is what a team's done, what a team has faced in terms of their schedule the last 3 weeks, and then what they're about to face this week. And you're mainly looking for the biggest differences. You're not looking for, this was like number 10 versus number 12. You're looking at the ones that have the huge gaps. So, for example, the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota this week plays the number 30 ranked pass defense of the New Orleans Saints. The last 3 weeks, they've played number 6, number 9, and number 10. So they played 3 top 10 pass defenses the last 3 weeks, the Eagles, the Cardinals, and the Jets. Now they play the New Orleans Saints, who rank 30th. That's a huge ease in their schedule, which means their offense is going to have opportunity to exceed their expectations. What you think of the Vikings based on what you've seen the last 3 weeks, they have a good opportunity to exceed those expectations based upon how their schedule's been and what their schedule is now. So I went through, the top 4 discrepancies and variance between what they've just played the last 3 weeks and who teams are going to play this week. And I did that for all 4 kind of units: offensive passing, offensive rushing, offensive rushing that's in bad situations, and offensive passing that's in bad situations. So, for example, the Colts, very good situation this week. They play the Oakland Raiders. Pass defense ranks second worst in the league. Last 2 weeks even, they played 2 top 6 pass defenses, and they played the Patriots the week before that. The Bengals are in a good spot, and the Raiders also. That game, they're in a good spot because the Colts' weakness is their pass defense, and the Raiders have played a couple of more difficult pass defenses the last few weeks in terms of the Seattle Seahawks and the Oakland Raiders. Sorry, the Seattle Seahawks, the LA Chargers, and before that they played the Cleveland Browns. So I go through, which teams have the best opportunity to exceed expectations and which teams have the least likelihood of exceeding expectations. Running through the passing offenses there, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they have a huge jump up in their difficulty of schedule. The New York Jets, we talked about Sam Darnold a minute ago, but they have a very difficult schedule because they've played the last couple of weeks the Minnesota Vikings, who struggled to defend to stop the pass. The Indianapolis Colts defense, we just talked about them. They struggle to stop the pass. Now they have to go and play the number 1 pass defense of the Chicago Bears on the road. So that's going to be a tough test for Sam Darnold. The Jacksonville Jaguars going to London, playing the Eagles after playing some easier pass defenses. And the Carolina Panthers have a step up in pass defense that they'll face this week.
Every which way you can analyze these games. And again, just to highlight a few of the teams that Warren just mentioned, at least through the prism of opposing pass defenses. We talked about the Colts. Colts are 3-point favorites on the road at Oakland. Talk about the Bengals. They are 4.5-point favorites right now against the Bucs. And I also mentioned the Vikings, of course. That's the Sunday night game. It's a pick 'em right now. You might see the Vikings favored by 1 in some spots, but consensus pick 'em right now. Vikings hosting the Saints. All food for thought as you look forward to this week's game. Going to close it out with Warren and Bill with the 2 final questions that we ask every week. What's the big favorite they think is the most likely to lose outright? And what game would they want no part of if they had to pick a side in each and every one but got 1 pass? Forced to answer as I just push these questions down through Congress, if you will. It's coming up, a numbers game right here at VSiN.
It's a numbers game, live from the tip of the strip in Las Vegas. Get your fill of numbers even after the show is over by following the crew on Twitter, @BeatingTheBook and @VSiN Live. Back to a numbers game with your host, Gill Alexander, broadcasting live from our VSiN studios in Las Vegas.
Bill, I don't know if you know this, but don't think for 1 second I'm ruling the show here. It's all Jorge with an iron fist.
I love Jorge.
It's a good man.
I love saying that name. I
Jorge?
always tell you that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His full name, Jorge Andres Mondaca.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. That sounds like you sound like a producer, a foreign film producer.
Don't you have a final couple questions?
I do. Thank you for reminding me. First of which of the big favorites is the most likely to lose outright in your opinion, gentlemen? Houston Texans tonight. Of the big favorites, we'll define the big favorites as, I don't know, we'll figure it out. 6 points or higher, let's say, this week. Houston is a 7-point favorite, 7.5 now, actually, with the reduced juice, somewhere in that pocket, hosting the Dolphins tonight. They're one candidate. Pittsburgh, 8-point favorites at home against the Cleveland Browns. Kansas City, 10-point favorites at home against the Broncos, their division rivals. The Bears, 7.5-point favorites at home against the Jets. And then you have to go all the way down to the Rams, 9.5-point favorites at home against the Packers, late game on Sunday. And then, of course, there's the Monday Nighter, the biggest spread of them all, the Patriots. 2 touchdown favorites on the road against Buffalo. A lot of candidates, a lot of big favorites on the board. Bill, if one of them was going to lose outright, which team will it be?
Again, we aren't betting these teams. We're just forced with a question. And
I'm forcing it.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm forcing the question into you.
I'll say the Jets over Chicago.
Oh, okay. I think Chicago might. If one had to lose, it would be the Bears over the Jets. There's some reasons for that. Mitch Trubisky's certainly not setting the world on fire. That's for sure.
Yes.
Warren, same question.
I was looking at that one as well. I think that the issue would become, is the Bears defense playing as well as they were to start the season, or are they trending in a direction that's not good? And if that were to be the case, then I think the Jets have a chance here. But the Jets are limited offensively with some of the help of their wide receivers. They are getting a couple guys back in the secondary, though. And if the Bears offensively, the first couple of series that they played last week, not very good scripting by Matt Nagy. So I think if their defense doesn't step up and play well at home, the Jets could be in this game. And then you never know. Sam Darnold could hit a big bomb to Robbie Anderson and get up by enough and hold on for the victory. But we shall see.
We shall see. Not well scripted by Matt Nagy. And may I just say, Matt Nagy, please lift your head out of your script at some point during a football telecast. For God's sakes, we'd like to see your face. Final question. If you had to pick a side in each and every one of these games against the spread, some bizarro exercise, but you were allowed one pass, one game where you're like, I have no idea. I would never bet this game in a million years. Bill, which game would this be this weekend?
Arizona, San Fran. That's like the bottom of the barrel. I don't know. Anything can happen there.
Anything. San Francisco currently 1-point favorites on the road against Arizona. These two teams met before. Arizona won it, but Arizona won it based on turnovers pretty much. They didn't do anything in that game. This is a pick 'em here at the South Point at home. Warren, which one do you want no part of?
Well, for that game, I am interested to see what the new offensive coordinator, Byron Leftwich, everybody remembers Byron Leftwich, the old Jacksonville Jaguars quarterback. He is now the OC for Arizona after they fired their OC. So I'm really intrigued to see what he does, how that offense looks this upcoming week, because it could look very different than what it's looked in the past. But I'll go to the game right above that. I was talking to Crack about this when Oakland was making some moves. The Indianapolis Colts, look, I think that they probably will win this game, but now they're favored by just over 3. I mean, the juice is getting a little bit heavier that way. It's just a lot for this team to lay on the road. I think they have a good shot of probably covering that number. But with the Raiders and some of the question marks about Derek Carr, was he crying on the field, and all the turmoil that's going on out there, like I could see the Raiders either putting forth a really game effort and playing really well and exceeding expectations, or just starting to crumble right here before our eyes. They're off to a bye, so who knows what's going to happen here, in my opinion.
Colts, Raiders, your choice. Warren Sharp, Sharp Football Stats, SharpFootballAnalysis.com, at Sharp Football on Twitter, Bill Krackomberger, at Bill Crackman with a K on Twitter, CrackWins.com. Thank you for listening. Mitch and Paulie, follow the money next at VSiN. Enjoy.
Excellent.
It's a numbers game, live from the tip of the strip in Las Vegas. Get your fill of numbers even after the show is over by following the crew on Twitter, at Beating the Book and at VSiN Live.